What a fitting way for the Raptors' horrendous season to end. They choked away a 19-point lead, they turned the ball over 14 times, and missed 18 free throws. DeMar DeRozan was the real MVP for the Bulls in this game, as she uttered a scream every time the Raptors shot free throws, which rattled the Raps. Her masterclass was complete when Siakam missed 2 huge free throws late, which would have tied this game up. The Raptors had to beat DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry to make it to the playoffs, and they ended up going one and done. Whether it was on Wednesday night or Friday night, the Raptors season was going to end soon enough. The writing was on the wall for this team from the start of the new year. Before the start of the season, I was optimistic, like many, that the Raptors would build from last season. But a couple months in, and after seeing some of the basketball that was displayed, I knew the season was going nowhere fast, and the roster as constructed wasn't working. Unlike most Raptors media, I provided my fair share of criticism of this team. I didn't pretend like everything was okay. I suggested countless times that the Raptors should have swallowed their pride, sell at the deadline, and try not to go for it. Instead, the Raptors tried to salvage their season, which just set them back further. The Raptors thought they were a Jakob Poeltl away from making some serious noise in the East. That Jakob Poeltl trade might end up looking very bad now, especially if the Raptors have to give away a high lottery pick to the Spurs next season. It's top 6 protected, which means if the pick ends up being number 7, it goes to San Antonio. This is no diss to Poeltl. I actually really like his game, but the Raptors were in no position to trade for him. They weren't just one piece away. This team needs an overhauling. So now what's next for the Toronto Raptors? Where do they go from here? In this video, we're going to take a look at all of that, and I will give you my opinion. Real quick, guys, if you do me a solid favor, please hit a like on this video. It does help the algorithm a ton. And please subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content just like this. Your support is greatly appreciated. So as we know, it's going to be a long offseason for the Raptors, and they have many big decisions to make. Jakob Poeltl, Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet will all be unrestricted free agents, and Nick Nurse's future is also unknown. Let's go in order here and start with Jakob Poeltl. The Raptors have to bring him back. There's no way you can give up a first-round pick and lose this guy in free agency. If somehow Poeltl walks away, this would be a true disaster class for the Raptors. But it seems like Poeltl is happy here, has a good relationship with the organization, and will be back. Next is Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr.'s potential final game with the Raptors saw him score 2 points on 1 of 7 shooting. Not a good last impression to make on the Raptors. Now, it's been reported that Gary Trent Jr. will be seeing upward of $25 million. He has some backcourt contemporaries like RJ Barrett, Tyler Hero, and Jordan Poole, who signed massive extensions, all larger than 4 years and $120 million. Now, how happy is Gary Trent Jr. in Toronto? And how happy is he with his current role? Will Gary Trent Jr. get a big offer from another team? I have a feeling Gary Trent Jr. is gone this summer when it's all said and done. Then we got the big one, Fred VanVleet. I think I speak for a lot of Raptors fans when I say it's time to move on from Fred. It's been reported that VanVleet would be asking for $30 million plus, and if the Raptors bring him back for that, it will continue to set this franchise back. Hopefully the Raptors can strike some sort of sign and trade with Fred like they did for Lowry, so you don't lose VanVleet for absolutely nothing. Keep in mind, both Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet are guys the Raptors could have traded at the deadline, decided not to, and now run the risk of losing both for nothing. Then we got to talk about Nick Nurse's future in Toronto. This is what he recently said about it. Listen, I love it here, and we've built a really strong culture. We've all got to evaluate how we can get that culture back to where we want it, close quote. Keep in mind, Nick Nurse does have 1 year left on his contract. My gut tells me Nick Nurse is back for another season to honor that final year of his contract. Nick Nurse does deserve some of the criticism that comes his way, but it also comes down to the roster being poorly constructed. The Raptors neglected getting the big for so long, and their bench continues to be a disaster, which is the next point I'm going to make. The Raptors need to upgrade this bench and get some depth. Otto Porter Jr. didn't pan out, Hernan Gomez certainly didn't pan out, and bringing in Barton late season didn't pan out as well. The Raptors need some guys who can inject some offense in the second unit. And just for some more context, Otto Porter Jr. has a player option, Delano Banton is a restricted free agent, and Will Barton is a free agent. Next, I want to talk about the Raptors having a lottery pick. The Raptors are projected to have the 13th pick in the NBA draft, and to my knowledge, they could move up to 11th if the Thunder and Bulls win tomorrow. Now, it doesn't matter if it's 11th or 13th, the Raptors need to draft a guard, and there are a couple of intriguing options that they can go with. I'll go more in depth on draft stuff in future videos, and I'm not going to get into that now, but the Raptors are going to have an intriguing lottery pick where they can add a very good guard to this squad. Okay, next let's move on to OG Anunoby. What's his future with the Raptors? Well, OG Anunoby will be extension eligible in the fall, and he was asked if he would be open to discussing a long-term deal if it were offered, and he said this: "They haven't come to me with anything yet, and if they did, I would definitely talk to them. I love Toronto. I love our teammates. I love the staff," close quote. I know OG Anunoby has had a lot of injury problems and at times is inconsistent, but a player of his caliber doesn't grow on trees. He just led the league in steals. Give this guy more of an offensive role. The Raptors reportedly turned down 3 firsts for OG at the deadline, so unless the Raptors get blown away with an offer, I don't see OG going anywhere, and I'm okay with that. Okay, now let's get into Pascal Siakam. And I'm going to go back to the whole timeline story with this team. The Raptors must choose a timeline and direction if they want to be successful. I said this on Twitter. If I'm the Raptors, it's time to stop trying to make it work around Siakam and VanVleet, and it's time to fully commit to developing Scottie Barnes and build around him. If the Raptors are stubborn and decide to give Fred and Siakam big extensions, this will set them back for years. Siakam and VanVleet are great missing pieces on a championship team, but they can't be your 2 highest paid players on a championship team. I said it from day one about Siakam, and it's gotten me a lot of flack over the years. Yes, he puts up his numbers. Yes, he's an NBA All-Star. Yes, he's an All-NBA guy, but he's not a number 1 guy. I'm not even going to bring up the missed free throws from last night because the Raptors collectively couldn't hit a free throw. But how many times have we seen Siakam freeze or not be aggressive enough in late game situations? Zach LaVine looked like the best player on the court. Siakam is a great player and a great number 2 guy to pair next to the guy. But if you have Siakam and then VanVleet pair next to him, it won't work. Raptors have missed the playoffs now 2 of the last 3 seasons and lost in the first round last season. So the Raptors should explore trade options for Siakam because the last thing you want to do is commit to another big contract when he's eligible for one, or have him walk away for nothing, which could be the case for Fred. You have Scottie Barnes, OG Anunoby, you're going to have a lottery pick. Start building this thing back up the right way. But knowing the Raptors, they're probably just going to end up running this thing back and continue to be stuck in the middle. That's all I got for today's video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about the Raptors offseason, and what would you like the Raptors to do? Which direction do you want to see them take? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. You could treat this as a therapy session. Just let all of your thoughts out, Raptors fans, as this is going to be the video that concludes the Raptors season. I will have more Raptors content, of course, but it won't be until we get deeper into the offseason and as we get closer to the NBA draft. That's when I'll definitely have a lot of NBA draft videos regarding the Toronto Raptors selection and more as we get closer to that time frame. But in between now and then, I will have a lot of NBA playoff coverage on this channel. So if you guys can support my other NBA content as well, that would be greatly appreciated. That is it for me, everyone. This is Lucas signing off. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all again in the next video.